What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Rantin Review. We're talking today about some news in the world of sports entertainment and pro wrestling. Before we get to that, of course, as always, I'd like it very much if you would help out the channel and hit the like button, subscribe button, and the notification bell so you can help the YouTube algorithm find this video and then share it to other people who may have an interest in these topics. That's the way YouTube works. So I definitely appreciate it. Thank you guys for supporting the channel over the past couple of months. One of the big news items that came out, and it's this viral thing that's going on, kind of off the Snyder Cut thing. We've got our own version of that for WrestleMania apparently. And once again, we have some debate over what should be the main event for the first night of WrestleMania, which is coming up in 2 weeks on Saturday. Now, we've already had a women's match headline a WrestleMania before. That was Ronda Rousey, Becky Lynch, and Charlotte Flair a few years ago. But now we want Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair to headline night one of WrestleMania this year. And that would be significant in multiple ways. Again, it's only the second time a women's match has headlined WrestleMania in history. It will also be the first time two people of color, in particular two women of color, would ever have headlined a major wrestling show, period, a major wrestling pay-per-view in God knows how long. But I don't think it's ever been two women of color main eventing a pro wrestling show or sports entertainment show. So that's a big hashtag that's going on out there. I don't watch WWE on a weekly basis, so I can't really say whether or not this main event is worthy just on its own merits of being up there. I know it's one of the matches, when I heard about it, that I would say a casual WWE fan right now was definitely looking forward to seeing Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks go at it on the grandest stage of them all. So I am in agreement with that. If they can somehow book it that Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair are in the main event of the first night of WrestleMania this year, I definitely think it's something that WWE should probably think about doing and consider. I don't know what else they would consider. I guess one of either the Universal or the World Championship would be traditionally those matches from the men's division, but I think you can switch it up this year, and I think if so many fans are behind it, you might as well just do it. Just give the fans what they want. And, you know, all social justice warrior stuff aside, I just think it'd be a cool thing to see that happen and make a little bit of history. And WWE is all about firsts, so this is definitely a couple of firsts they could do at the same time and make a lot of people happy. So, I don't know. I'm all for it, but I want to hear what you guys think about it in the comment box below. Of course, it was Wednesday, so you know what that means. AEW Dynamite. I hopefully will be getting back to NXT reviews at some point in time in the future when they finally move off of Wednesdays. AEW clearly has now won them with the Wednesday Night Wars, which are over. I said they were over a couple months ago. It's pretty much a fait accompli at this point. But this night was a live version of Dynamite. Now, apparently they're doing the every other week thing, which used to happen in wrestling back in the day, which is so funny how old things are becoming new again. But you have a live show this week. Next week will be a tape show. But it starts out with the AEW World Champion, Kenny Omega, in a Champion Eliminators match, not a title match, against Matt Sydal. They've faced each other many times. And I will say this, Kenny Omega's entrance, the announcer stuff that the announcers have to read off for Kenny Omega's entrances, I don't know which is longer, his or Toru Yano's over in New Japan. But I'm going to time it next week and see who actually has the longer ring introduction. Is it Toru Yano or Kenny Omega right now? But that aside, the match was a pretty daggone good match. There were some scary moments here and there, but you always get that when you got guys like Matt Sydal and Kenny Omega in the ring. They're going to go balls to the wall for this, especially being the opening match on a live Dynamite. So all around, it was a fantastic outing. Kenny Omega does win with the One Wing Angel. There were several counters in this match. One of them where Omega kind of got out of Sydal going for a move on the top rope, and Sydal looked like he almost slipped again because he slipped on the first move. No one's ever going to forget the first move Matt Sydal ever did in AEW was him botching a top rope spot, but it almost looked like he did it again, but he pulled it off. But Omega won with the One Wing Angel, and Excalibur's talking about Kenny Omega's mental state because we are seeing some of the kind of crazy 2016 2017 Kenny Omega who used to just talk to himself and do the and all that stuff all the time. And Excalibur's like, is Omega fractured or something, mentally fractured? And Don Callis is like, you're the one that wears a mask in public and you're not even wrestling anymore. So I enjoyed it. It was a great opening segment for the night. Other notes on this edition of Dynamite: the Pinnacle had their first appearance as a full group in a match, and it's a 6-man tag match, which they look pretty good. A lot of Horseman vibes out of this whole thing, obviously with FTR and Tully Blanchard in it. You got Wardlow being the Varsity Blondes went for a dive outside the ring, and Wardlow just stood in front of them, and they were like, I don't think we're going to do that. The match ended very quickly after commercial break, and it was over. And Shawn Spears gets the win with a Death Valley driver. Afterwards, the entirety of Pinnacle cut a promo with Tony Schiavone being in the ring and conducting the interview. I will note that Cash Wheeler, never mind, FTR. FTR are definitely channeling Arn Anderson in their promos. It's feeling very, very Arn Anderson-like in the way they're cutting their promos. MJF is just always good, and the little character moment with Tony Schiavone wanting to, smart mouth to MJF, and Wardlow just putting his hand on Tony like, bitch, you gonna say something? And Tony's like, yeah, I'm good now. All right, go ahead. What you want to do? So I thought that was pretty funny. Pinnacle. And I like the fact that they all put their hands in and as mounting up as the Pinnacle. It's there's actually thought to the name of this faction. I like that. They comment on the fact we still haven't seen the Inner Circle, Jericho, none of those guys. I think they're going to take a couple weeks off to sell the beatdown, which is always a good thing. You should always do that. And if you're going to give people a big beatdown, they shouldn't show up for a couple weeks on the show. They should sell the beatdown. So I love that fact that they're doing that with the Pinnacle storyline against the Inner Circle. But by no means do we think that's the end, that's the last we're ever going to hear from Jericho and the rest of the crew from the Inner Circle. Britt Baker conducted an interview, and on the heels of that fantastic match that her and Thunder Rosa had the week before. I like the fact that her character is saying that she doesn't care about what legends or journalists feel, even though we saw, shoot-wise backstage last week that she was worried about Meltzer giving her a 5-star rating, but she kind of poo-pooed that in character this week and even kind of called out Mick Foley, who kind of passively aggressively said he liked the match, I guess, on Twitter. I saw that tweet. It was pretty funny that she addressed it. But I think Britt Baker is definitely the star of the women's division. There's no doubt about it. It's just a matter of time till they put the title on her, which hopefully will come soon. And given what we had in the women's match later on in the night, can't come soon enough. Nyla and Tay Conti had a match, and it's kind of, after last week's show, this was a kind of a regression back to some things. They lost their way near the middle to the end of the match. I'm sorry to say this, and I know some people might give me hate for this because you're just saying that because I don't give a crap about any of that stuff. Nyla Rose is just not very good. It's been 2 years now in the spotlight, and still at this point we're having these kind of miscommunications and lapses and kind of lethargic movement in the ring. And I'm not going to go any further with that because people will then start going, you just don't like him or her because it's a transgender woman. It's like, no, just half of the women's roster in AEW has a very hard time performing actual good TV matches. Nyla Rose is just one of many. But Nyla Rose has been given a push several times in AEW and still having these kind of meh matches. So the interesting part about it was that they are trying to push Bunny, they are trying to push Tay Conti, and I've said this for a while, they should involve one of the male factions in with the women so it feels like it's all together and that the women aren't off to the side here. Seems like they're starting to do that with the Bunny being part of Matt Hardy's group. So hopefully that will kind of, I think more of that needs to happen to kind of bring the women in with all the other stuff that's going on the AEW shows. CT Marshall had a very curious promo during this show where he kind of called out Cody Rhodes in his spot, and he did all this stuff. It kind of meandered a little bit because he's really not that great at giving these kind of promos, but he hasn't had that much experience doing them. But it worked for what it was. I will say one thing. His wife is pretty hot. He married up. Good job for you, CT Marshall. But at the end, it did bring out Cody, who kind of worked it as if that he was not supposed to come out. So he did the whole thing where he had the headpiece on and the headset on, and he's taking it off to go address this. And he's saying that CT Marshall's his best friend. We kind of see this as yet another person who's going to turn on Cody. I don't know how many times you can do this storyline with him, though. I don't know how much heat it's going to have, and I don't know how good CT Marshall is going to be as a heel. It depends on where they're going to take it. Right now, I'm not feeling it, but, well, you know, maybe they'll have a surprise, but we're kind of done with these storylines with Cody right now. I think we can try to move on to something else instead of yet another person turning their back on the Rhodes family. By the way, the Rhodes are apparently doing their own version of the Miz and Mrs. Cody can't let WWE go. He can't let it go. He won't let it go. He just won't. We though had a fantastic 6-man tag team match. Laredo Kid, Penta El Cielo Miedo, I finally got that right, and Rey Fenix taking on the Young Bucks and Cutler. One of the things in this match is not belong. Brandon Cutler, I mean, his story when he first signed with AEW 2 years ago and they had the whole thing on being the elite with him getting the contract, that touched my heart. I mean, I really felt great for the guy that he finally got this big break, but kind of like the same thing with Nyla Rose. He ain't very good in the ring. He's not at the level. You can just see in this match, he's not at the level that the Bucks and Penta and Laredo Kid and Phoenix are on. They're doing their business, just timing on point. And at one point in the match, it's like the Bucks, they're just kind of like nudging Cutler out of the way while they're doing their spots. You see Cutler in the background, just kind of, then he gets to do his one spot. And he can move. He's got some athleticism, but he doesn't have the experience and the timing down that these other guys, the 5 other participants in this match did. So, and it really showed. And the really weird ending to this match where the Bucks wipe out Penta and Phoenix, but then Cutler gets wiped out by Laredo Kid, who gets the pin. And then all hell breaks loose because Kenny Omega comes to the ring and he starts beating up on Laredo Kid. He does callbacks to the first Fyter Fest match that they had where it was the Elite, at that time known as the Elite, the Bucks and Kenny, against Laredo Kid, Phoenix, and Pentagon. And Kenny's getting his crazy, like, he's doing that crazy cleaner thing. And the Bucks are just like, dude, what is up with you? And Omega's like, no, join me. This is the last chance. I could have, and then he referenced the thing. He's like, I could have stayed where I love the people and the people love me, and I loved someone there and someone loved me, which is a reference to the New Japan fans and his golden lover, Kota Ibushi. He could have stayed there, but he chose not to. He could have gone on to greener pastures in New York, being WWE. He chose not to, but he chose the Bucks. He didn't choose AEW. He chose the Bucks and the vision that they came up with, because this is actually a bit of shoot here. AEW, and I think this gets lost with a lot of people, the whole concept of AEW began because Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks had a video vlog on YouTube called Being the Elite. If it wasn't for that, there would be no AEW. So that's very much the core of what this whole company is basically based on. So it does have some resonance to the overall story, which is good stuff. The Bucks walk away from Kenny, but then... in perfect timing on this, Kenny's running his mouth. He's like, yeah, get out of here. Yeah. And he turns around, perfect timing. Penta and Phoenix super kick the microphone right up into his lip, busted his lip open a little bit. And then the Good Brothers come out. So that's setting up a 6-man tag match for next week. In the main event, we have the TNT Championship being defended by Darby Allin against John Silver, who's a part of the Dark Order. Sting makes his presence known. Earlier in the show, we saw Jake Roberts at ringside. But we also got a video promo from the Murder Hawk, Lance Archer, who said he's coming after Sting. I expected to see him in this, but he wasn't, which was kind of odd. It was a pretty solid... This is a different kind of match between two guys. These are smaller guys, and you usually expect more high-flying, spot fest stuff, but there was some strong style in here. There was some ground grappling. There was all kinds of different styles of wrestling in this match. It was really entertaining because you never knew where they were going next, and that's why it was so engaging. What style they were going to be switching to. They were just going back and forth between them so often. Ultimately, Darby Allin did get the win, as he tends to do with a wrestling move, not the coffin drop, and retains the TNT Championship. After that, all heck breaks loose, and they have this big brawl. Sting gets to hit the bat. Matt Hardy's going after Darby Allin, which apparently is going to be Darby's next challenger. I would assume for the TNT Championship would be Matt Hardy. Christian was also on the show backstage. Him and Frankie Kazarian are going to be having a match next week, so they're loading up a lot of stuff. I'm waiting for the moment, however, when Christian and Matt Hardy come face to face at AEW. You know it's coming at some point in time. But overall, this was a better edition of AEW. This is above average edition of AEW Dynamite. So if you haven't seen it, definitely go check it out wherever you can. I liked it, but I want to know what you guys think. Let your voice be heard in the comment box below. Until then, I will see you guys for more news, rumors, and commentary right here on the Rantin Review. Have a good day.